All right, now even China's worried about all the rate hikes we've been seeing in our country. They all started about a year ago, and you could almost dovetail, not the collapse, but the inability of the Chinese market to get past its own lockdown issues, slow economy issues, zero tolerance to COVID issues that they thought when they got over the zero tolerance thing, there wouldn't be issues. Bottom line, now that they hear that the U.S. and other Western powers are still poised, remember the Europeans just did this last week, to keep hiking interest rates, China's worried about it. And what does that tell you? We've got Rob Spalding joining us right now, the U.S. Air Force Brigadier General, author of the bestseller War Without Rules. General, it's a real honor to have you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Let me ask you first off about China's concern about this rate rise environment. I get where they're coming from economically, but what I took from that, General, is that they don't not look at this stuff. I mean, bellicose as their language and everything, they always keep one eye on the economic environment because that's what makes them the superpower they are right now, you know, and the demand for their goods and the Chinese people demand for the world's goods. And that they are wondering and fearing is in question. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, right now, just like everybody, they need capital. And what they saw as a problem was the outflow of capital to China. So, you know, one of the things, reasons they went to zero COVID was to open up the doors and get capital flowing back in. And this Fed rate tightening really saw, you know, a flight of capital into Treasury. So that's the thing that they were concerned about. And you know, obviously the Silicon Valley Bank now really changes the character of that a little bit for them.
I wonder too, General, you know, you always think that countries concerned about their economic interests would be less disposed to think about their military ones, or at least commit military provocative acts in an environment where they could face the same thing that Russia's facing right now, alienation around the globe, save China. China knows that the same thing happened to them. It would be a very different story. They were much greater power, much greater economic power. That would do them enormous harm. Or are they past caring? What do you think?
Well, they mix the two. They have something called civil-military fusion. So they actually force their commercial companies to give all their best technology to their military. When they think of war, they don't stop at the battlefield. They think of economics and finance and trade. They think about universities. They think about politics, geopolitics. It all mixes together. You know, one of the things that Kissinger used to say is, you know, we play chess in the West, they play Go. Go is much more a full spectrum game. And in a sense, the Chinese play an infinite game, meaning they seek to be a player and continue to be relevant or even more relevant going forward, where we look for wins and losses. This is a completely different way of thinking about the problem.
They must know, though, General, that any action to, let's say, take Taiwan or get militarily involved to the degree they're giving lethal weapons to Russia to fight in Ukraine ups the ante, where we would almost have to respond by some sort of economic sanction, something that would hurt us as well, by the way. But our argument has always been it would hurt the Chinese more. What do you think?
Well, China has had, and Xi Jinping has forced, this reliance on indigenous production. They've also built the Belt and Road Initiative. So they have been planning long term for the possibility that they might be isolated. The reason is that they've never given up, you know, using a military force to take back Taiwan. So they've had to prepare themselves for that. The other issue that they have is the reliance on energy, you know, through the Straits of Malacca. So now they can rely on Russia, who is, you know, almost entirely reliant on China for resources. So they have created a system that is apart from the global order in anticipation of being isolated from the global order.
General, a final question, and it's probably pretty simplistic, but maybe you could help me with it. And it doesn't matter whether we think China will invade Taiwan, but whether they think we think we're going to respond if they do. What do you think?
Well, one of the things that we had during the Cold War that we focused on, that we talked a lot about, was the presence of nuclear weapons. And I think this is one of the things that China has built their strategy around. As long as Taiwan and the rest of the countries in the region don't have nuclear weapons, I think they're not as deterred as they would otherwise be. We introduced nuclear weapons into the European theater to prevent the Russians from invading Western Europe. I think China feels like they can go after Taiwan because there's not going to be a nuclear response that comes, which means that they have the predominance of military power on their side of the Taiwan Strait.
We'll have to watch closely. General, thank you very much, and more importantly, for your service to this country, U.S. Air Force Brigadier General, retired Brigadier General Rob Spalding.